Welcome to the Fantasy NASCAR podcast brought to you by racefortheprize.com. Daytona week, we are plate racing. This will be a quick podcast, but first, if you don't want quick information and you want to dive into all the plate racing stats, this spreadsheet's for you. $10 for the weekend, $30 for the rest of the month. We can work out a deal since it's a short month left and September's right around the corner. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Get all the data so you can have fun Friday night and Saturday night. First and foremost, stack in the back, leave money on the table. That is all the strategy that you need to know. You don't need to know anything else. Stack all the players in the back and leave money on the table. All right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, what's a quick idea to talk about as we prepare this week? I think we make a big mistake in trying to fit DFS NASCAR in the DFS box. We take DFS rules and try to apply them from other sports to NASCAR, and it doesn't work, and I'm always vocal about that. I also believe we make the error of looking at statistics in other sports and taking that same comparison and applying to NASCAR, and nowhere is that more relevant than plate racing. So we'll just take one number today to say maybe there's a different way. Maybe we're boxing ourselves in. So Ryan Blaney, 46% of the time he finishes with a top 10 in his 39 races. And generally he's considered one of the best plate racers, yada, yada, yada. We know that. Because, look, 46%. He does it more often than other people. Because we're taking an idea like, let's say, for example, two players go out and shoot 1,000 three-pointers, and one guy makes 45% of his three-pointers. The other guy makes 35% of his three-pointers. We then can make the accurate prediction that the next 1,000 three-pointers will probably play out the same. But we're talking about 1,000 shots that require a specific skill to be repeated over and over and over. And so we can trust that in basketball, 46% three-point guys probably going to carry that throughout the season, and 33 will probably go in that direction. And then we take that, well, we can trust numbers, and then we say, all right, well, 46% of the time, Blaney does it, so he's more likely than the 35%. And we can pretend that, but we can't. Because we're talking about thousands of shots compared to, although 39 plate races is quite a lot, it still is only 39. It is a very small sample size. And then on top of that, that race is not necessarily a repeatable skill. We're talking about really one event happening in a specific race that takes a guy in or out often. And so we take this idea of like, well, percentages can predict the future. Can we really trust that? Maybe you can lean on it a little bit, but there is enough doubt that you can easily get away from playing these really popular, well, he does it 40% and 35%. How much does that really matter? Again, we're taking the sports references of, even if baseball, you look at early season stats and somebody's hitting 300, but they've only hit 25 times. And then maybe a couple of those hits were just bloop singles that he got lucky. And if you play that number out over and over and over and over, his numbers start to drop. And he's not quite as lucky. Maybe that's better of a comparison to plate racing where, yeah, you can get lucky a couple times. But can you keep getting lucky for an entire season to bat 300? Probably not. Now, unfortunately, with NASCAR, we just never get enough of a sample size to break free of that. You're basically looking at April batting averages. I think that's what we look at with plate racing. And so if you're looking at batting averages in April, where guys get bloop singles, they get lucky matchups, but over the course of the season, we see who the real player is. We never really get that from NASCAR. We've got an idea, but the sample size just isn't big enough. And the act that is being performed is pretty random. Hitting can be pretty random as well. But this is even more random. And so my takeaway is that when we're looking at these percentages, and saying, well, this guy finishes top 10 more, and this guy finishes it less. I don't think that matters that much. I don't think it matters that much to the extent that you're going to want to own Ryan Blaney more so than another guy. Obviously, you'll take Ryan Blaney if he's offering a bunch of place differential, or Denny Hamlin, or Joey Logano. But all things being equal, let's say Denny Hamlin is starting towards the back. And let's also say that Corey LaJoie is starting towards the back. Or Tyler Reddick at 25% starting towards the back. Oh, well, he's 15 percentage points lower in terms of top 10. I gladly will let other people believe that matters. It is a small sample size. It is random acts. We are trying to take statistics and numbers from an entirely unrelated event. I mean, honestly, the fact that we call all these things sports is pretty crazy. And then when we operate under that umbrella, we go back and forth by using our certain approaches and methods, and it's simply not accurate. In what world would you compare shooting a ball into a hoop to driving a vehicle at 200 miles per hour? If you were to ask someone from any other country, what do these things have in common? They'd say nothing. If you asked an alien, but yet here we are and you are putting them in the same umbrella. Oh, they're sports. And we look at sports stats all the same. That's not correct. And if you can separate from that, you can get out of that box and you'll start playing drivers that have just as good likelihood of being successful and maybe lead you down a different direction and lead you down different builds if that's important to you. Or you can just keep doing it the same way. And I don't fault you because obviously they are finishing with the top 10s. That's all I wanted to say today. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, if you get access to all this crazy data for your plate racing, have some fun. And as always, stack in the back, stack in the back, stack in the back, leave the money on the table. What was the other phrase that I had? I thought I invented a new one during the last one. Well, I forgot it. And the treadmill's about to beat. So we're going to wrap it up. Love having you guys around. Blessed to have you around. Trip to Light's fantastic.